blessings, beautiful soul, for this practice for this September full moon, although you can do this practice at any time. So just to stand easily, feet about hip width apart, arms relaxed, close your eyes. Really feel the ground beneath you. Keep your awareness, your inner gaze, to that space between and behind your eyebrows. And just take this moment to check in, simply noticing how you're feeling this moment in time, with no judgment, no criticism, just simple curiosity. Also bearing in mind that the moon cycles do affect our energy, our mood, all those kind of things. I also want you to ask yourself the question, what does the most genuine, most authentic, most confident, empowered version of you look like? And are there parts of you that you've been keeping hidden? In other words, are you the same behind closed doors that you are with other people? Or do you seem to like put on a front in certain situations? Are there aspects of yourself that you've kept hidden for whatever reason? And if so, how would it feel to be able to let those fears go? How would it feel to fully embrace, acknowledge and embody the most genuine, the most honest, the most vivacious, authentic, empowered version of you? A version of you that doesn't care what other people think, that you know you're the same, whether you're behind the screen, behind a desk, whether you're at home. How would that feel? How would it feel to let go of the fear of being judged, let go of that fear of being liked by everyone? And you know, I used to be like that. I used to want everyone to like me, all that kind of thing. And I gradually realised that actually I'd rather be Marmite. Now I realise I'd rather be Marmite, that I'd rather have people really love me and really not like me at all. Rather better to be Marmite than vanilla. So maybe there is some aspect of yourself that you've been keeping hidden, that you've been afraid to let out, wherever it may be, for whatever reason, And just ask yourself, how would it feel to embrace those fears, to let them go, and to fully embrace, acknowledge and embody the most honest, the most authentic, empowered, confident, outrageous version of yourself? And notice how that feels in your body as you think that. And take a nice deep breath in. And let it go. I want you to open your eyes. I think the moon is connected with the water element. So I want you to start to imagine you're floating in water. And imagine you're letting your body dictate how to move. So just for the next few minutes, you are going to let your body dictate how it moves. Because one of the stories we tell ourselves is that, oh, I don't know how to move, I don't know how to dance, blah, 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 blah. Or we feel so self-conscious, especially if you're in a class situation. And you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing it right. My variation doesn't look the same as someone else's. And all those kind of things that we tell ourselves. And we spend so much time worrying what other people may think of us. And we forget, we miss the irony, which is that they are worrying what you think of them. So imagine how it would feel to completely let go of those worries, of those concerns, to really not care if someone is thinking something of you, no matter what they're thinking of you, and to trust your body's innate inner wisdom. It's like when we say, oh, I can't dance, and yet, you know, you have a couple of vodka tonics or whatever, and we're all like Beyonce, woo! And it really is liberating when you decide to no longer waste your time or energy even worrying what other people think. Because here's the truth, right? Here is the truth. Most people are too busy focusing on their own stuff, their own shit, to actually give a monkeys what you're doing. That is the honest truth. We are not the star of everyone else's movie. Not by a long means. So imagine, this is your movie, your dream, and you can make it any way you want it to. And once you really start to let go of those nonsense stories, those worries, and go back to being almost childlike. You know, those children that don't really care what other people may think. Just let go. Get into your goddess flow. Remembering there's no right or wrong ways of moving. And notice how good it feels to just be free. Nice deep breath, and just start to bring it down a little bit. I like getting on some really kind of funky, with a funky beat music, and just start to circle those knees, going into the hips, loosening up your hip joints. And don't worry if your variation doesn't look the same as mine. I apologise for the sun. The sun through the window, so the mark on my mat. And this time, take that knee around and see if you can take it around behind you. Give me a little curtsy squat. And release. And then the other knee. Take it around behind you. Give me a little curtsy squat. Again, not worrying too much whether your variation looks like mine or not. And just let your arms flow again. Don't worry too much about what my arms will do. Imagine like you're seaweed in the ocean and you're just moving in a way that feels good for you. Or you're the star on your own West End show. You're like a graceful ballerina. I used to do a lot of dance when I was younger. Always wanted to be in the Royal Ballet. Sadly, I was never going to be kind of flexible enough. Coming back and just circling the hips around, and nice deep breaths as you move. So the moon, water, fluidity, expression, around the other way. Woo! So think of being your most expressive, creative self, and you do circles in opposite directions. Moving around as if you're doing your best Beyonce impression. There's a reason why things like dance make us feel so good, because it gets the energy flowing, and it also helps us connect to our divine feminine energy. And maybe do some circles with your rib cage and think of ripple type effect. It's when we overthink it that it becomes all wooden and stilted, going around the other way. We go, oh, I don't know if I'm doing it right, I don't know if I'm doing it right, I can't do it, blah, 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 blah. And then circling the arms around. So my style of teaching has changed a lot over the years. It's very much now into how it feels rather than what it looks like. Change directions. So instead of it being, oh, it has to be this way, if it isn't that way, then it's wrong. And I'm very much in a kind of how it feels for you. And just stepping the feet out, shifting the weight side to side, and all the way up into those hips. Because we all remember that every body is different. Although we've got the same kind of body parts, most of us, we're put together slightly differently. And what feels good for one person may not feel good for the other. Let's come back to a little squat position. Tuck your tailbone under and press the knees out. Try and grip with your feet. So we'll try and keep the knees out, and that's more from a safety perspective, so that you're looking after your knees. Inhale as you lift up a little bit. Exhale as you melt down. Think of a pulse. As you breathe in, the breath flows up. As you breathe out, breathing out through your feet. Visualize a balloon filling with air. As it fills with air, it lifts away from the earth. As it releases the air, it comes back down to the earth. And imagine your body is like that balloon. And as you breathe in, you're filled with a sense of lightness and expansion. As you breathe out, you feel grounded and centered. So 4 deep breaths in, expand your belly, expand your ribs. And focusing on that fluidity, expression, intuition. And coming down, bring your hands onto your thighs. Press those knees out, drop one shoulder forward, pull the other shoulder back. Lift your chin towards that top shoulder, spinal twist the upper back. Inhale through center, exhale the other way. So drop one shoulder forward, pull the other shoulder back. Keep pressing your knees out. Breathe in to twist. Let's just change rather. Breathe out, twist the other way. Breathe in to switch. Breathe out, twist. Then come back to center. Inhale. Reach the arms up, straighten the legs. Exhale, bend the knees again. Breathe in. And out. So breathe in. See if you can cross your wrists and bring the palms together. If not, just bring the palms together. Now stretch up and over to one side. Lengthen out the side waist. Exhale, lift back up. Inhale over the other side. And exhale up. Just pull up the thighs. Give those legs a little bit of a rest. Exhale as you rise up. Inhale over the other side. And exhale as you come up. Release the hands. Bend the knees again. And think of water. We're going to sweep right, left, right, and all the way over the top. So we're going right, left, right, and all the way over the top. Breathing in and out. In and out. Again, don't worry too much if your variation doesn't look exactly like mine. It's all good. Freeing up your shoulders and your hips. So you might keep your lower body more still and just move through your upper body. Or you might allow your lower body to move with you. Whatever feels good for you today. One more. Breathing in and out. Come up, turn your toes forward and relax forward, come down. If you can, bring your fingertips to the floor or to the block. If you can't quite reach, you can just bring your hands to the shins. Spread out your toes. Maybe lift your toes, spread them out. Press into your big toes, little toes, in and out heels. And imagine like doing a cat flex. Imagine lifting your tailbone, heart forward. So you might be here, the hands on the shins. As you breathe in, lift your tailbone, heart forward. As you breathe out, think of tucking the tailbone under, drawing your chin to your chest, arching up. So it's not going to be a massive move. Inhale, flex, heart forward. Just notice how you open up the backs of the legs as you flex. Exhale, pull the belly button to spine, draw your chin towards your collarbones. Just do that twice more. You're moving into the spine, all into the spine, coming into your legs. Once more, breathe in. And out, rounding up. And find that flex, find that flat back position. Now bend your knees nice and deeply into a little sumo squat. Bring your hands to your waist, elbows back, and exhale as you come back up. And turn your toes out. Once more, come back into that squat position. This time we're going to go left, right, left, and all the way over. My phone often reverses. So when it says I'm going left, it will show me going right, which is quite kind of confusing and frustrating, but hey ho, it really doesn't matter. As I said to my class this morning, it doesn't matter. If I say left and you do right, the world will not open up and swallow you up. And you can do this shifting the weight, or you can keep the lower body still and just do the legs. Then have that image maybe of seaweed or a jellyfish floating in the water. Anything that embodies gracefulness and fluidity. Breathing in and out. And I know I keep saying it, but really don't worry if your variation doesn't look the same as mine. Once more, inhale and exhale. Come back up again, then turn the toes forward once more, maybe slightly pigeon-toed this time. Slide your hands all the way down this time. Hold on to your ankles if you can. Imagine drawing the crown of the head down towards the floor. Lift your shoulder blades up, away from your ears. Find length around your neck and shoulders. Stretch out your hips and inner thighs. You're going to release your hands. You're going to take both hands over towards the right foot. You're going to bend into a little side lunge. Gently press that knee out with your elbow. Heart forward, heart and hips on a level. Keep your left foot, your other foot flat for now. Take a nice deep breath in. And breathe all the way out. And you're going to turn around to the right. You're going to turn both feet. Now you might want to step that back foot across a little bit as I've just done. Drop the back knee to the floor and lift your heart into a low lunge. So imagine pulling this front knee towards you. Drop your hips to the floor, lift your heart. Breathe in again. As you breathe out, Ardha Hanumanasana. Pull that right hip back towards you. Straighten that front leg. And imagine kissing your shin or your knee. Don't worry if you don't straighten the leg completely. A little counter stretch. Inhale and exhale. Come back into that lunge. Tuck the back toe under. Inhale, switch. Twizzle yourself around into that side lunge. Exhale, straighten the legs. Wide angled forward bend. Take the right hands over to the left. Breathe in and out. Bend that left leg and use your elbow to press the knee out. So when I turn and pull the back foot, I often step that foot out a little bit. So I've got a broader base of support. Drop the back knee. Pull this front knee towards you. Imagine hugging the thighs to the midline. Squeeze your butt. Lift your heart. Breathe in. As you breathe out, imagine pulling that left hip and folding over that front leg for that stretch in the hamstring. Shoulders relaxed. Breathe in, come forward, breathe out. Lift your heart into that low lunge. Straighten the back leg, breathe in, turn, breathe out into that side lunge. Breathe in and out, back into a wide angled forward bend. I might need to twizzle my feet a little bit. Inhale. Exhale over to the right into that side lunge. Might feel a little bit easier the next time around. Inhale, turn to the right, drop the back knee to the floor. Exhale, try and relax the shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, draw that right hip back. Exhale, fold over the leg, Ardha Hanumanasana. And don't worry if the leg's not completely straight. Inhale, come back into the lunge. Exhale, relax the shoulders. Now straighten that back leg. Turn yourself around. Exhale into a side lunge. Breathe in, straighten both legs. Breathe out, fold in the middle. Over to the left. Inhale, exhale, over into that side lunge. Again, pressing that knee out, pull up the thigh muscles. Now turn, adjust the back foot if you need to. Drop the back knee, hug the thighs into the midline. Squeeze your tush, heart forward. Breathe in. As you breathe out, pull that left hip back, folding over your leg, Ardha Hanumanasana. Again, don't worry if you don't straighten this leg completely, it's all good. Inhale, come back forward into the lunge, lift your heart. Exhale, relax the shoulders. Inhale, straighten that leg. And turn. Exhale into the side lunge. Again, adjusting the feet if you need to. Breathe in, straighten both legs. Breathe out, fold over your legs. I want you to heel toe your feet in. And try and bring your toes together. Your heels slightly apart. And then I want you to try and bend your knees and come down as low as you can. If you can, come all the way down with your heels flat, great. If not, just come as low down as you can. Just take a moment here. Then gently release yourself onto your back and find Shavasana. Try to take the legs a little bit wider than normal, arms away from the body. Close your eyes and turn your awareness inwards. And just begin by simply noticing how you feel compared to when you started. As I said, the way I teach has changed a lot. When I first started teaching, it was very much like, kind of like Iyengar, in that, you know, everything had to be this certain way, your foot had to be here, and you had to look like this, and you had to work towards a perfect pose. Whereas over the years, I've very much gone into a sense of feeling. How does it feel? Because what may feel good one day may not feel so good another. And we can get lost sometimes in our quest for a perfect pose, and we can completely miss how good it feels, the journey to get to that pose. So I want you to notice how it feels. Feel the energy in your body. Feel how you may feel lighter, looser. And you may notice sensations that you can't even put into words, and that's okay. Because you are here to live a full and fulfilling life. And part of that is to acknowledge yourself as energy. Acknowledge that you are not your body. You are not your thoughts, you are not your mind, you are not your past, you are not your mistakes, you are not your possessions, you are not the things that you've done, you are not your labels. You are none of those things. You are an energetic being exploring this adventure called life. And yoga is actually a science to give us tools to live a more fulfilling life. And actually the very first Yoga Sutra is yoga is the stilling of the thought waves of the mind. Basically, it's a way to silence that negative inner critic that is what makes us feel like shit most of the time. There's no mention of poses. And I focus now on how good it feels. You've set the intention by getting on the mat. So I want you to focus on how good you feel right now, and go back to that image of that most authentic expression of yourself. If you no longer worried what other people thought of you, if that was no longer a consideration, if failure was not even in your vocabulary, if it did not matter to you if people liked you or not, if you remembered your worth, that you are worthy simply because you exist, and that no matter what you do in life, some people will love you, some people won't. That's just it. That is just it. Not everyone is going to love you. Here's a newsflash for you. Not everyone is going to love you, and that's okay, because the only person whose opinion matters is yours. If you love being you, that is all that matters. If you love being you, that doesn't mean you think you're perfect, that doesn't mean you look in the mirror and think, oh, look at me, blah, 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 blah. If you love your life, you think of the experiences that you have, think of the way you enjoy being in your body. I may feel self-conscious being skinny. I'm getting older, I'm 48, do you know what I mean? But when I focus on how much I love my life, and I stop worrying about what other people think, occasionally it comes up, but most of the time I stop worrying about what people think a long time ago, and it is so liberating. I learned a long time ago that not everyone is going to like me, and that is okay. So go back to, what does the most authentic version of you look like? For example, I would love to be a social butterfly. I would love to be one of these people that loves being in big groups of people and that is energized by it. But I'm not. I find it draining. You know, I like being around people in short bursts. Put me in a room full of 100 people to teach them yoga and I am on fire. Ask me to socialize in that same group for 5 hours afterwards and I'm like, oh my God. So it's about accepting who we are, not wishing anything were different, and embracing who we are, and not worrying what other people may think of us. For many years, I used to hate social situations because I worried that people would think I was boring. And I finally thought, do I really care? I mean, for one, I know I'm not boring, but when I get tired, I get quiet. And it's like, is it really that important? Even if someone does think I'm boring, they're not going to still be thinking of me in a week's time, thinking, oh, do you remember that boring woman? No, they'll have long since forgotten about me. And in that moment, it was like, I've spent all this time worrying, how ridiculous, and I let it go. I let it go. I accept that I love solitude. I accept that I love being outside in nature rather than in a group full of people. I'd rather be in bed at 9 o'clock at night and getting up with the sunrise than going out drinking, and that is okay. So I want you to think of maybe things that you've been doing that aren't aligned with you anymore, that you're now thinking, do you know what, I can actually let that go, I can actually drop that. Actually, it doesn't matter. And I'll say this to you as well, this may hurt, but those who don't like you when you start being your true, honest self never actually liked you to begin with. They may have only liked what you did for them or what they could get from you. But this life is yours to live in a way that you enjoy, because the longest relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. So make sure it's a healthy, happy one. So visualize yourself. Imagine that you are going to get up from the mat and you're already going to be embodying that most authentic version of you. And you may start to smile, you may start to feel light, and that is good. That is beautiful, that is awesome. Because you deserve to be just yourself. You're enough just as you are. So when you feel ready, if you feel ready, just start to move your arms and legs. Move in a very luxurious, languid way, as if you've got all the time in the world. So that might mean small movements, that might mean big stretches, and just whatever feels good for you right now. And in your own time, beginning to make your way back up to sitting. Or if you feel like you want to stay a while longer, that's perfect too. But when you do come back, give yourself a hug. Give yourself a hug. And set the intention to at least start becoming your own best friend, your own biggest cheerleader. Namaste, beautiful soul. So much love to you.